Good morning and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Ashley, and today we are going to be making an apple jam. I have all my apples here, peeled, sliced, and cored. They are frozen. That will not be a problem here. And I just want to show you while we're here, I am using one of my loofahs for the first time, and I absolutely love it. It scrubs beautifully, and I'm excited to probably make some soap bars with it. Now back to the apple jam. I'm going to be slicing up all the apples and then putting them in this pot over here. My baby is wanting to be held right now, so I'm going to be holding her while slicing this. I would usually have her in my carrier, but it's in the car right now and I didn't feel like getting it. So we're going to make do with what we have, and we need 4 cups of finely chopped apples. We have our 4 cups of apples in our pot, and now we're going to transfer this to the stove and add 1 cup of water. Now we are going to add our lid and let this simmer for 5 minutes. Now that this has simmered for 5 minutes, it needs to be mashed thoroughly, and then we are going to add 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. You're going to want to use bottled lemon juice when you're canning, because you want to make sure it has the right acidity level. Now I will be sure to link this recipe in the description for anybody who might want to try this recipe. This is a Bernardin recipe. I am not a rebel canner by any means, so I try to always use safe and tested recipes. And from my understanding, Bernardin is like the Canadian ball. Now to our pot here, we are going to add 5 cups of sugar. And we are going to stir that all up with a pat of butter, which is about a half a tablespoon we were using here of butter. And this will help prevent foaming. Now all of this sugar is going to lower the temperature dramatically, so we are going to wait for this to come up to a full rolling boil again. A rolling boil is a high boil that cannot be stirred down. So I'm going to continue stirring this until we get to that rolling boil before we add our pectin in, because we do not want this to burn. All our ingredients are incorporated here. We have our butter still melting. Our apple chunks look just beautiful. I love this color here. And now we are at our rolling boil. This is a boil that cannot be stirred down, so we are going to grab our liquid pectin and we are going to squeeze that all in. This is 85 milliliters of pectin, and it says to make sure we squeeze all of it out. Now that we have added our liquid pectin, we are going to stir that all to incorporate it. Now this needs to boil hard for 1 full minute, so I like to set a timer for that to ensure that it's 1 minute, so it sets right. And then once this is done with the 1 minute, you're going to have to turn off the heat, take it off the heat, and skim the foam. I have a pot in the back here filled with water, and this needs to come to a boil so I can add that to my water bath canner to fill it up the rest of the way after I put my jars in. So at this point, you are going to want to make sure your jars are warmed to the temperature that your jam is going to be. You're going to want hot jars for hot jam so you do not shock the jars. So I have mine warming up in my ball electric canner. I'm taking one jar out at a time to make sure the others are staying heated. Alright, now our jam is done, so we're going to turn that off. Take this off the heat. Now at this point, if needed, is when you would skim the foam. There's like hardly any foam on here, so I'm not going to even bother doing that step. Alright, I have my jars out. Everything's ready to go. I'm going to bring our jam over, making sure I don't put it back on the heat because I don't want it to cook anymore. And we are going to ladle this into our jars. I'm using half-pint jars, which are 8-ounce jars. I find that perfect for little things of jam. For jams that we use more often, I would use a pint for like strawberry or whatever. This is the first time we're trying this recipe, so I wanted to put it in small jars. And also, this is going to be more of a, if we want it on toast or to top it with something, this isn't going to be like a peanut butter and jelly jam. Now for headspace, I'm going to use my headspace marker debubbler tool, and we want a 1/4 inch headspace. Now we are going to go around our jar with our debubbler, and we are going to debubble the jar. I'm not sure if this is necessary with jam, but I'm going to do it anyways. Now check your headspace again, should be at a 1/4 inch. If not, just add a little bit more to top it off. Check it again. If you accidentally add a little too much, you can scoop it out with a little spoon. We have reached our 1/4 inch headspace, so we are going to wipe this off with, I like to use a paper towel with vinegar on it. This will take all that sticky jam off with the vinegar. You're going to want to make sure you get the jam off so you can get a seal on your jar. If there's jam built up on here, then it will not seal. Now do as I say, not as I do, because I clearly messed up here. And I have 2 jars that did not seal. This is my first lid failure, and I'm a little sad about that. But I'm not sure if it's because of the sticky jam. I don't think it's from the jam being on top. I think it's from me putting the ring on too tight. I always say make sure you don't crank on the ring too tight. You want to make it fingertip tight. You also want to be sure to check for any chips out of the rim of your jars. These are brand new jars, and I also checked them after the seals failed. That was not my problem here. It was either the jam was stuck on there, or I did have some jam that leaked around the edge of the jar that I didn't fully get off, so maybe that held down the ring too tight and it couldn't loosen up while it was canning. Or I just cranked the ring on too tight. I don't know. Either way, I'll be more careful next time and be sure that I do it the correct way so we don't lose any more of our products, because I'm not sure how long it can sit on the counter, but after you check the seals 24 hours later, I did not want to risk it, so I ended up just throwing it in the trash. If it was something my chickens could have ate, then I would have fed it to my chickens, but I don't want to feed them all the sugar. So I'm just continuing this process, putting one jar in, taking one jar out, and filling it up. 1/4 inch headspace. Wipe the jars clean, put the lid on, put the ring on, and don't put it on too tight. And continue to do that until I run out of jam. I end up with 6 half pints. 2 of them don't seal, so I end up with 4 in the end. But this recipe says it makes 5 to 6, and it made 6, so that was good. Now I do have a few kids you will probably hear in the background, but they are just living life, having a good time. So this is our last jar going in the canner. All my jars are in the canner, and I put an extra jar in there to make sure they don't wobble all around. I'm adding my boiling hot water. To top this off, you want 1 inch above the jars for water bath canning in this electric canner. And also in a regular water bath canner, you want it 1 inch above the jars. So we are going to lock our lid on. And get this started. I have mine set for 15 minutes. The recipe calls for 10 minutes. I have to add 5 minutes for my elevation. Be sure to check your elevation before you get started. Now they're all done. My canner has done its cooling process. I'm going to leave the lid off for an additional 5 minutes to make sure this is fully cool. Now I'm going to take each jar out after that 5 minutes. You're going to want to make sure you place these on a towel so the coldness from your countertop doesn't break the jars, shock the jars. It's looking awfully Christmassy over here with this placemat and the parsley in the background. But we are going to put all of our jars out. They are going to sit for at least 12 to 24 hours. I usually wait 24 hours to be safe before we take the rings off. And you're going to want to take the rings off before storing so you don't have a false seal. The only time that you will see a ring on my jars here is if it's a dried good. So I labeled them, dated them. They're all washed and cleaned up, ready to go be stored in my garage where it stays nice, cool, and dark. And they set up beautifully. They do have these like little this little black line along the edge. I'm hoping it didn't scrape up my canner. I think it just bounced around a little too much in there. Maybe I should have added an extra jar. But this is where I'm storing some of my backup goods here. Something like so I can have like one of each things upstairs. I have my toothache plant ready for tinctures. I have a tea blend. Here, this is strawberry leaves and chamomile. I'm not sure if we will use them together or not. I have parsley here. This is dried parsley. Not labeled. Hopefully I don't forget what it is. I think it'll be good. I think I'll be good. Sweet corn. This is absolutely delicious. Ground beef. Strawberry lemonade concentrate. My family absolutely loves this. My kids love it. I'm gonna have to make more. I only have like 2 pints of it left. This makes like a whole gallon of strawberry lemonade. I have jalapenos. We did this together. I still have yet to post that video. Last but not least, we have some dill pickles here that we canned last year. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you have a blessed day.